What's up my friends, how's it going, and welcome back to the 5th episode of our Let's Play series as Alexander with your fellow comrades summary. In the previous episode we managed to consolidate our hold against the Cappadocians, wiping them out in the process by conquering Sinop as well as the region of Amasea. We are still on the back foot defending Mazaca from a plethora of Achaemenid forces. As you can see, they have 4 full stacks of Bactriane army down south over here, and currently we have used Alexander instead to hold out the settlement. Meanwhile, we have marched Cassandros up to the north in Amasea, and in the next turn he is poised to take over the settlement of Trapezos. Apart from that, you can see that our economy is a little bit on the low. We only have about 3,000 denarii in the treasury, and we are losing about 1,200 denarii per turn. So in about 2 to 3 turns we will go bankrupt if we do not resolve the situation. Meanwhile, all the way out here in the western Anatolian region, we have Stratos 5 Hephaestion that is almost completed its build, and we also have Stratos 3 Perdiccas also almost completed our build. We have Stratos 7 Ptolemaeus who is going to move towards, of course, side and try to transfer off some of those troops. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and deploy them in that patrol stance just to reduce the army upkeep cost as well as improve the public order in the province of Ionia. We can also go ahead and disband Stratos 4 Parmenion because we do need to get a unit of a couple of units of Halkaspires. I do thank one of my YouTube followers for letting me know the correct pronunciation of it, and that's why I like my YouTube channel and my followers and my subscribers, because they are culturally diverse, so they can always correct me on certain things. And personally, I do like to be accurate in my pronunciation, so please feel free to correct me if I make any future mistakes. But for now I'm going to call it Halkaspires because I discovered that the CH is kind of silent. I always assumed that it would be pronounced, especially because it is the famous Chi-Rho symbol of our Lord and Savior Christ, Jesus Christ. Chi-Rho signifying the first 2 alphabets of Christ, C, H and R. The X symbol is pronounced as CH, that's what I thought, but however I stand corrected. It is going to be Halkaspires from here on out. Speaking of our economy as well, you can see that we are starting to make a little less deficit, but our taxation is on high. Our political loyalties are fairly high as well, but the main thing we want to focus on is improving our influence. We are currently sitting at respected. We want to get to admired and beloved if we can afford to do so. But of course, our economy will be robust once we manage to convert these fishmongers into trading ports, because the fishmonger actually gives 200 wealth from farming agriculture. Meanwhile, the trading port gives an overall of 600 wealth from commerce, and of course that is going to be further affected by our commerce related modifiers in the province. So definitely we'll be making a lot more than 600 wealth from the trading port. And another interesting thing that I would like to note here is that you can see the second modifier in the tooltip is road development. Now I'm using a new submod by Benjin, which kind of displays the roads in a slightly different way than it is in the base game. In the base game, the roads are very random in their appearance. However, with this Benjin submod, of course the link is going to be linked in the description down below of this video. Basically what this mod does is it kind of visually updates the road based on their development, and several buildings actually improve your road development, such as the trading port over here giving +3 road development. And if you look at the main settlement or the capital buildings within a region, they also give you road development, like this level 2 influential polis gives +5 road development. Meanwhile, the metropolis gives 10 road development, followed by the large metropolis gives 15 road development. And now what road development actually means in terms of the game is that your armies will have a slightly superior movement range on the campaign map, and that will actually reflect on the graphic or the visual of the road in the province. So as you can see right now, we do have a dirt road, which is kind of like the lowest level of roads. However, as we upgrade our roads, then you will see paved roads appear, which means we have a much greater movement range. However, that being said, we are still in the last turn of the previous episode, so we will have to go ahead and end the turn, and of course I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, here we are in the end turn, and we are being attacked by 3 of the 4 Bactriani armies that are over here in the south. They are full stacks, and of course we are outnumbered at least 3-1. We do have Alexander as well as the garrison that can defend the settlement of Mazaca against these armies. And one of the criticisms I faced in my previous video is that I turn off the control large armies to basically fight with Alexander's 20 stack versus the first 20 stack and allow the enemy to slowly trickle onto the battlefield. However, I replied to that comment saying that if I do fight with the control large armies, I will have a much significant advantage, because that actually puts the initiative in the battlefield towards my favor. What I mean by that is that I'll have a lot more units on the field of battle that will already engage with my front line, which means it's going to be a lot easier for me to perform hammer and anvil tactics. However, we are going to quick save over here, hop into the battle, select the control large armies, and I will showcase exactly what I mean by I have a much greater advantage when I play with large armies. And welcome to the Battle of Mazaca. As you can see, we have gone ahead and deployed all of our troops in a defensive formation. Over here we have our hoplite phalanx protecting the main entrance of the settlement. They are backed by all of the long-range missiles. On the far left flank we have our pikemen, and they are supported by our Agrarian peltaste. We have our Agrarian sellswords on the corner of the map over there ready to flank. Meanwhile, Alexander himself, along with all of his companion cavalry and Thessalian cavalry, is on the right hand flank of the settlement, and they are ready to of course flank the enemy and charge around the enemy. Where is Alexander? He should be here somewhere. There he is, of course, waiting for the enemy to charge into the battle. And what we're going to do, as you know, was mentioned, is that we are playing with the control large armies turned on, so you can see a lot more troops pouring into the battle. But this is actually going to be a huge advantage for us, as you will see shortly. However, with that, let the battle commence. You can see a lot of the arrows being fired into the enemy, and we are just waiting for all of these units to kind of engage, and then we are going to start flanking with our cavalry. Now, one of the really good things about our cavalry is, of course, we do have the scare ability in most of our unique cavalry, so that is really helpful. On top of that, Alexander himself does have the morale for the enemy armies, and you can see that the base morale is affected for all of these units, so we will be able to dish out a lot of morale damage, which is a really good thing for us, because we'll be able to rout quite a significant portion of the enemy army. However, with that, we have no real concern as far as our front lines are concerned, because we can just simply hold the line over here. We don't really have to worry about taking any casualties, except for, of course, the fact that the enemy is launching their missiles towards us, which could inflict some damage to our units. But if we are really quick with our cavalry, then we can of course manage to mitigate that, because we will be able to stop them from firing. And over here, this is where I noticed that there is a big gap between the reinforcements and of course my own armies that are engaged. So I decide it is time for Alexander to go ahead. There you have it. You can see the commands have been issued. It is time for Alexander to go ahead and start attacking these units before the reinforcements come in play. Meanwhile, all the way on the left flank, we do have our phalanx units over here. They are just simply going to be holding the line. The pikemen, they're going to take some damage from, of course, the skirmishing fire, but we do have our Agrarian peltaste that are also firing into the enemy cavalry, preventing them, of course, from dishing out maximum casualties towards our own troops. So we are protecting our own troops. Meanwhile, Alexander is just waiting for the right opportunity. We have to keep in mind that, of course, the enemy will have a medium spear infantry with missile capabilities. These guys are shock spear lancer type units, so we have to be really careful how we charge them. They do not have that great of bracing power because they don't have a shield. But what this means is that if we charge at them from all directions, then we can pretty much wipe them out. So that is exactly what we're trying to do over here. We have a bunch of Sparabara units also firing into our front line, so that's a little bit concerning, but we are going to try to charge these units from all directions. And right over here, I'm waiting for the opportune moment to charge at these guys. I managed to get a side charge against them. It's a pretty devastating charge. Meanwhile, Alexander himself has managed to charge again, and you can see that they're already losing decisively. They're already wavering. And one of the things you can do over here, since Alexander does have that war cry ability, you can issue it in order to quickly break a unit, drop their morale by a little bit further. However, that being said, we are being attacked by a lot of missile units, so we're trying to pull out of there as quickly as possible, and we are going to once again try to encircle these units. I have noticed that a lot of these units have now finally reached, but the important thing is we've managed to deal with the enemy general. All the way on the left hand side of the battlefield, you can see that we have a lot more missile firing into, of course, our pikemen, and that is a little bit problematic because we can't really do much against that. They are going to be dishing out some casualties against our own pikemen, but for the most part we will be able to hold out against them. It shouldn't be much of a problem, especially against enemy cavalry. And there you have it. You have one cavalry completely shattered, and all of these units, they're not going to be able to attack my wall of pikes. Another thing that was mentioned is that I do not issue commands for my pikemen to attack the enemy, and I do that on purpose because I want them to retain their formation. If you select them to attack the enemy, what ends up happening is that they actually get out of formation and start to create some gaps. They might even turn around in a little bit of a weird way. So the main thing is to just let them hold out against the enemy, and slowly but surely you try with your cavalry units to perform hammer and anvil. Over here we are in the process of trying to wipe out this skirmisher cavalry, so we are charging. Unfortunately, some of the spear units are charging into our cavalry, so we got to be a little bit careful, and we're going to pull our cavalry behind. But as you can see, despite the massive amount of archer fire against us, we are able to not take that much casualties because we're very heavily armored as a cavalry unit. Alright, with that you can see that the battle is further, progressing. Our front lines are holding quite well. We are trying to encircle the enemy as best as we can, try to isolate some units and start to charge at it from all directions. We are going to pull our cavalry a little bit behind in order to start kiting some of these units, tempting them to move into an unfavorable position, after which we can of course just attack them, All the way over there on the right, once again, we're going to take a quick look over here. Most of our phalangites are doing quite fine, so not too concerned. A lot of them are already engaged. You can start to see some of the enemy reinforcements that could not make it in the battle because the maximum limit is 40 per battle. They are slowly starting to trickle in, but we're starting to see quite a lot of missile units, so it's not that concerning. What this means is that we are very close to the end of the battle. We're very close to wiping out most of the core units of the battle. And over here, this is kind of an important thing. You try to see openings like this, and then you charge into those openings, and if you feel that you're going to be pressed, you can just pull out again. Over here you can see that I'm trying to encircle this melee unit, and they're pretty tired. They're not able to run that well. So what we are going to do is we're going to try to charge at them from all directions. And there you have it. You have a cavalry unit over here. Let's take a quick look at this charge. Brilliant charge from multiple directions, just smashing up the enemy units, and they will start to take quite a lot of casualties, and we're even going to be able to follow that up with another charge. There you have it. With just that charge, we managed to inflict almost 100 kills on that unit. So yep, they are dropping like flies over here. And with that, we managed to wipe out yet another unit. All the way over there, we have Alexander giving chase to some of the units. The main important thing is that we try to rout as many units as possible from the field of the battle, so that of course we are better able to isolate units over here. All the way on the left hand side, or the western side of the settlement, a pike phalangite doing quite a good job keeping a vast array of enemies at bay. They're not able to reach our pikemen, as you can see over here, so I'm not too concerned. The main objective over here is to prevent as many casualties as possible. All the way back to Alexander and his cavalry. Now is the time that we are going to charge at the enemy unit. I do notice a formation of Sparabara over here that's firing into our cavalry. So the main thing over here is to chase down this unit, expose that unit, and now we can start to charge that unit from all directions once we're able to dispatch this melee unit over here. These units over here will be quite vulnerable, and what we are doing at the moment right now is just trying to move our cavalry into multiple directions so that we can charge at them from all possible directions. There you have it. I'm just trying to perfect it over there, and we do charge with our second unit of our second group, because all of these units are faced towards Alexander, trying to charge at Alexander. And there you have it. You see that morale penalty keep applying. We're going to follow that up with yet another charge back into this, and then finally we will have Alexander himself charging into the enemy. There you have it, Alexander. Big charge over here. We're dealing quite a lot of morale penalty. We managed to pretty much break 5 Sparabara units over here, but we've barely taken any casualties. As you can see, we're still well over 95% strength in each of these units, so that is really great. One of the drawbacks of fighting such massive battles like this without the control large armies turned on is that you're not that easily able to rout the enemy and kill as many units, because you are really focused on alleviating your main front lines. Because if you focus on routing out these units and trying to attack them, what ends up happening is that your main front line takes a lot more casualties. So as you can see, one of the most important things to do over here, quickly control group them so that they charge at different units, and we are going to charge at the entire front line. But there you have it. You can see that we're able to quickly rout a lot of the enemy units, and that is exactly what we want to do. We want to break as many of these units as possible. It doesn't matter if they are broken or shattered. What we want to do is just try to alleviate the pressure on our front lines. Quick look at our pikemen. Some of them have taken some missile damage, but for the most part they're looking quite good, especially the units on the corner. From my experiment, they seem to be taking a lot of the missile damage, because enemy archers just focus on them because they're the unshielded side, which kind of makes sense. As you could see, that volley over there, it's just moving towards these guys. So yeah, it's really, you have to be really careful about that, especially on the flanks. Quick look once again at our cavalry. You can see that we managed to rout out most of the enemy units, and once again we're charging at this Parabara unit from all sides. Gonna get absolutely crushed here. So yeah, that's crazy. They just shattered instantly, and that's great. And what you can see over here is that I'm quickly issuing orders to attack another unit, or issuing an order over there to attack another unit. This is the best way to untangle the mass of cavalry you have over here so that they quickly manage to reform. We are going to go ahead and reform ourselves, because as soon as we charge this unit, we have a potential to hit this unit from both sides, and that's exactly what's happening over here. You can see that this charge is going to come really clutch in. They're not going to be able to brace for us properly, and they're going to get sandwiched once again in between both of the armies, and very quickly they're going to break like that. So here's the main advantage. As you can see, we managed to wipe out quite a lot of the enemies, but a lot of them are gonna manage to escape, so that is rather unfortunate. All the way at the pike phalanx side of things, you can see that we have stabilized. Some of the units are retreating, but for the most part our pikemen haven't taken a lot of damage, and that is of course because they're able to keep the enemy at a distance, which is so important. The only main vulnerability of a pike phalanx is that they are vulnerable to missiles. So right now I'm desperately trying to hunt down as many enemy units as possible, but it's not going to be easy. We still have some reinforcements coming in, especially the shock cavalry. You always got to pay attention to these icons. They are part of my cultural UI mod, so I like them because it's very easy to identify cavalry. Pay attention to this cavalry because it will try to charge against your old cavalry, and if you're not paying attention, then you can be charged, and that will give them a significant advantage. Whichever cavalry actually gets a better charge has a massive advantage in the battle. However, over here you can see that some of our cavalry, we are going to try to, attack this cavalry on all directions. We are moving away with Alexander, trying to buy some time for ourselves so that, of course, we will eventually be able to charge this cavalry in all directions. We managed to turn all the way around. It's going to get a pretty decent charge, but they just stopped right before the charge. We managed to get a very good charge off over there, and Alexander himself charging in, and the main danger over here is going to be this cavalry charging downhill. We'll be able to shatter that, but that's not much of a concern because this cavalry is already wavering and completely shattered. So realizing that very quickly, I move my cavalry once again. You can see it's quite a lot of micro. A lot of my frontline troops are no longer engaged. They're getting a much needed break. And over here we're using our micro so much with our cavalry so that we can maneuver and perform a lot of hammer and anvil tactics. And over here, one of the beautiful things of this Parabara is that they are going to be launching their missiles, so they're not going to be braced. They're going to be hit and from behind, hit in from the front, and quickly just shattered like that. As soon as I turned on the UI, you can't even see their banner anymore because they're just so quickly shattered from that charge. It's a really devastating charge. Our cavalry in this campaign is absolutely phenomenal. Now the beauty of this all is that all that's left is no longer any spear units. They do have some medium infantry with the capability of a precursor javelin, so as soon as they throw their precursor javelin, they are going to be charging into the battle. These guys have a little bit of armor piercing, so they're quite good against our heavily armored units. But once again, even with hoplite unit, we do have a little bit of a reach advantage. One of the things you can do is just quickly try to reform your lines throughout the battle, but I don't bother with that. As you can see, there are gaps over here that the enemy can potentially exploit and hit the exposed side of the adjacent unit. But of course, I'm not able to do that because my micromanagement is heavily focused on the cavalry. You really have to focus on your winning units. And what I mean when I say your winning units is the units that are most likely going to win the battle for you. Because the quicker you win the battle, the greater your casualties inflicted and the less the casualties sustained. So that is pretty much what I'm prioritizing over here. And you can see these units, they are completely full, but just because of that fear ability, they're already wavering. So the minute we get this charge off against them, it's going to be absolutely insane. But there you have it. One of the charge animations broken, because if you have two of your cavalries that kind of collide with each other, they kind of cancel out a charge. But over here you can see that we are basically wiping out all of their missile units before they can even participate in the battle. As long as you keep that forward momentum, they're going to be running away because the enemy AI typically has a skirmish ability, which means they won't really fire into your units. They'll always try to create distance, and that is just the default position of the enemy AI, the skirmisher units. So yeah, pretty much we're going to keep attacking them. The cavalry over here is mopping up any of the melee units. So we managed to pretty much get the numerical superiority and cause a mass rout, after which we have won the battle. We're not going to continue the battle, we just end the battle, which means a lot of the enemy units are going to be able to escape, but it's still a significant and heroic victory for us, so I'll absolutely take that. With that, I'm going to go ahead, end the battle, and I will see you all back in the campaign. And there you have it, a heroic victory. We managed to kill at least 10 times our number. We took a little bit of casualties, but not too much. We will be able to replenish in the end turn, of course. And we have managed to significantly weaken a lot of Bactriani armies, at least to 50% of their original strength. And just as proved, of course, you can see that playing even with the large armies turned on made the battle really easy for me. Now I have a choice of enslaving captives or ransoming them. I am going to go ahead and ransom them for two reasons. One is I do not have a lot of money in my treasury and I could go bankrupt. And the second reason is, of course, public order issues. So I do not want to get more slaves in my provinces that could trigger further public order issues. So let's go ahead, ransom all of the captives, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. A child has been born, Parmenion has returned home, which means it's time for us to recruit him once more. Let's reinstate his legacy in Larissa, And we are going to deploy him over there. We're going to give him a couple of Halkaspires units. That is because we eventually want to transfer them over to Cassandros. And speaking of Cassandros, he's fairly replenished, so we can actually move him all the way towards Trapezos. Trapezos is Hellenic culture, and I can go ahead and simply auto-resolve this battle. So we're going to go ahead and auto-resolve the battle and peacefully occupy the settlement so that we can replenish in the end turn. We are going to go ahead, dismantle all of the buildings, and of course convert it into food buildings instead. Meanwhile, over here, Alexander, as you can see, has completely replenished. What that means is that we are out of Politides in this turn. We could be once again attacked by the Bactriania stacks, so we have to be a little bit careful. What I am going to do, however, is move my spy a little bit closer to get a line of sight of what's going on over here. Meanwhile, this other spy can stay between Samosata and our Samosata to get a line of sight of what's happening in the east towards Armenia. Now, the main focus of this episode will be to break the deadlock over here and gain a foothold, if not conquer the entirety of Cilicia, Syria. We are also going to try to attack Armenia and release a loyal satrapy in the region. This is partially historically accurate. It is accurate in the sense that Alexander did in fact subjugate Armenia as a satrapy. The historically inaccurate part is that, you know, it wasn't done in this order. Basically, what Alexander did was conquer Cilicia, Syria, Judea, Egyptos, basically, you know, without any resistance, flipped sides to Alexander. And then when Alexander pushed east and fought the Battle of Gaugamela, simultaneously some of his other armies subjugated Armenia. But what we are going to do is we are going to do that a little bit earlier on in this episode, of course. However, that being said, we are in the process of moving our armies across, so let's go ahead and do that. We definitely want to move our armies as close as possible to transfer off those troops. And over here, what we need is a couple of our Argaspides as well, or Argiraspides, and we also need a couple of our Agrianian sellswords, and we need a single unit of Rhodian slingers. I believe that should make the army composition of Hephaestion to its maximum, so that is great. And then we are going to transfer off these two remaining units to Perdiccas. That will bring us up to 19 out of 20. Basically, we want to transfer one of these Hypaphistes to Parmenion, I believe, Perdiccas, sorry. And we want to replace the remaining slots with, of course, let's go ahead and just ban this for now. And we can recruit another unit, and it might seem counterintuitive, but the main reason I'm doing this is for that increased replenishment rate. And once we get rid of one of these Hypaphistes or Agrospides, Agiraspides, we are going to replace, you know, Cassandra's army with those two missing pike units. However, that being said, what we also need to do is we actually need to take one of these Halkaspides, the unique Halkaspides under Koinos, and actually transfer it over to Alexander. So we will kind of try to do that as we march our armies forward. Let's take a quick look at our provinces. Paphlagonia is looking good. Phrygia, Cappadocia is looking excellent. Macedonia, Epirus is also looking quite good. Hellas is also good. We don't have a lot of money, so we're not going to try to spend a lot of it. Instead, what we are going to try to do is we are going to send Alexander to keep gathering support. But before we do that, we're going to give him some abilities that improve his gravitas and also focus on his military capabilities. We can go for the heroic hoplite right here. And over here, I think the right thing to go for is the drinking companion. I mean, that's kind of funny because Alexander was known for his excessive drinking. Let's go ahead and gather the support. We only want to do it once per turn, and you can see our influence has been bumped up all the way from 44 at the start of this episode. We are currently sitting at 50 influence. We are still respected in our government, but we do want to keep pushing it up towards admired. We're not going to keep spamming it because every click of the political intrigues over here is going to incur incremental costs, and they can rise quite exponentially. So we do not want to do that because we do not have a lot of money. And with that, I think I am ready to go ahead and end the turn. We are going to keep getting attacked at Mazaca until we are able to resolve the situation. But I'm pretty fine with that. I think any subsequent battles in Mazaca, since I have actually showcased the first battle, which is going to be the hardest battle we ever fight in this episode, I'm not going to be showcasing a lot of these repetitive battles. Another thing one of my YouTube subscribers pointed out is that this campaign is extremely repetitive. It's a grind, and I do wholeheartedly agree with that. That is because you're going to be fighting the same armies over and over again, the same army compositions over and over again. So yeah, you might find that boring, and it, in all honesty, it can get a little bit boring. But the main thing, of course, is you want to break up all these armies, and then you can actually start to push and get explosive. What we're trying to do, or what we're trying to achieve over here, is to gain that momentum advantage by pretty much weakening all of the armies over here, as many armies as we possibly can. And once we gain that momentum advantage, we can follow it up with a expansion or a explosion of expansion over here in the region, and the Achaemenids will not be able to mount a decent defense to stop us from doing that. Meanwhile, of course, time is of the essence. Alexander is 23 years of age, which means he has about 9 years to go before historically he passes away. So we have about 9 times 12. So I'm just going to do 120 minus 12, that's 108 turns, and we have 108 turns to actually win this campaign. And by win, I mean we are going to conquer the entirety of the Achaemenid Empire, all of its satraps, basically clean up our borders, get the entirety of the Achaemenid Empire under our control, as it was historically with Alexander, of course. And then, of course, we can say that we have successfully managed to win this campaign. However, 108 turns is a little bit of short time, so we have to be able to break the deadlock really quickly and then use our momentum to the maximum advantage as we possibly can. However, with that, let's go ahead and end the turn. And before we go ahead and do that, what I am actually going to do is I'm actually going to keep moving my dignitary towards Samosata, because I do want to help culturally convert the province. As far as cultural conversion is concerned, Paphlagonia Pontus is already Hellenic, so is Ionia, so is Phrygia, Cappadocia. So things are looking quite good, but down over here we do have 94% Persian influence, so we want to maximize our Hellenic influence so we can keep that positive momentum going. We already have a dignitary in the province that is trying to culturally convert the province as best as he can, and we are going to try to maximize that. We can take a quick look. We can actually recruit another dignitary, and I'm actually not going to do so because we don't have enough money, and we have just about, I believe, a couple of turns before our economy will be kind of sorted out. Let's go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the future. Most likely in the next turn we will be invading Armenia. Alright, there you have it. Another attack, this time by the Achaemenids. We are going to quick save over here, hop into the battle, but I'll not be showcasing this battle because it's pretty much going to be the exact same as the previous battle, of course. And I'm going to fight the battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. Alright, and there you have it, a heroic victory. This time we killed about 40 times our number. We took very little casualties. We will not be able to replenish because we do not have enough population class to do so. And more than likely, I think the Bactriane might attack me after this battle. We have gone ahead and significantly weakened the Achaemenid stacks over here. We even managed to wipe out one over there. The other one will be very, very weak, and we're going to go ahead and ransom off all the captives, and we're just going to wait, stay a little bit put in this end turn, basically try to see what the Bactriani are up to. They have about 4 armies in the region. 3 of them are definitely having a numerical advantage over me, so they most likely will attack me at Mazaca. This last remaining army down in the south is a little bit annoying because it's kind of defending Tarsos. If they weren't there, then we could easily invade Tarsos. However, with that, just let's wait and see. And there you have it. You have the Bactriani stacks attacking us once again. This time I'm not going to be showcasing the battle. We do have a decent advantage against them. They are really weak. So we are going to quick save over here, hop into the battle. I'm not going to be showcasing this battle, but I'm going to try to wipe out a lot of the troops as I possibly can. Alright, and there you go, another heroic victory. We have taken a little bit of casualties, especially to our phalanx type units, and However, we have another heroic victory with Alexander, and we have significantly once again weakened Bactriane stack over here, managing to wipe out one and almost managing to wipe out the others. Let's just take a quick look over here. You can see that they do have some sizable units left, but they are really weak for now. We are going to go ahead once again, ransom off all the captives, and there's not much left for the end turn, so we're just going to pretty much sit it out. We have another Bactriane army over here that's pushing in towards us, so that is actually amazing. Meanwhile, a character has improved in rank, and that is the leader of Naissos. We are going to be focusing on empire maintenance, and we're going to check to see if we can promote him. Demetrius, we cannot, so that is a little bit concerning. Alright, we cannot really promote any of these characters, but what we can do is we can gather support with Alexander once again, pushing us up to 52 influence. Meanwhile, Alexander over here slightly replenished, which is kind of good. We are going to go ahead and level up our champion as well. Quick look to see if we can level up any more characters. We cannot, but what we can do over here in Trapezos is start to improve on the buildings over here. Quick look to see we are just about to turn away from getting our trading ports, and we should have a very sizable economy after that. Down south over here we do have Hephaestion, which we can move towards Iconian. I want to move him towards Iconian as much as possible so that he can replenish. We can even put him on a patrol stance, and we are going to transfer off some of these units to each other's armies. All the way back in Macedonia, we do have Stratos for Parmenion. We're going to move him into the Aegean Sea, and then we're going to try to link up with, of course, Stratos to Cassandros. Speaking of Stratos to Cassandros, we can go ahead and attack Coron. It's a very good auto-resolve. Let's go ahead, auto-resolve this one, and we are going to liberate the faction of Hake. So we do have a entity over here that we can subjugate. However, subjugating is going to be extremely tough. So what I am actually going to do is I am going to save the game over here, hop out of the game, enable one of my cheat mods, which is basically the Ottoman's Easy Diplomacy mod, force these guys to become our subject. What I am really hoping for is Sergeant Meme Swaraj's Vassal mod to include the possibility of releasing, instead of military allies, a satrap, because that basically makes a lot more sense than releasing an ally. It makes sense to actually release a puppet state. That being said, we do want to go ahead and perhaps transfer off some troops over here. What we are going to do is just move this guy all the way towards side and move Stratos 7 Ptolemaeus all the way over there, transfer over some of those troops. We are missing a single unit of Agira Spides, so we're going to disband Ptolemaeus, and we are going to recruit him up over there in Trapezos, and then take this Agraspides unit from Agira-Spides. I keep saying Agraspides, but Agira-Spides from Cassandros, and then transfer him over all the way to Perdiccas. And with that, we will have Perdiccas also fully built up. That being said, the final thing, of course, will be to also move Stratos 4 Parmenion all the way towards Trapezos as well. That's very important. Let's take a quick look at all of our buildings. Phrygia, Cappadocia, I'm pretty happy with that province. Meanwhile, Macedonia is also looking good. Hellas is looking good. I don't need to spend any more denarii on that. Ionia is looking a little bit bad as far as public order is concerned, and that is actually why we are researching our philosophy tree, in specific the legal institutions, so as to improve our public order. Another thing that will actually help our public order is if we are able to bump up our influence to admired. That will shift the public order from +3 to +2, so we will get a total of +3 public order. And you can see +3 public order will make quite a significant impact in Ionia, and of course can make a good decent impact in Phrygia, Cappadocia. We are actually having a little bit of public order issues, mainly due to our taxation. But in the next turn, once we have our trading posts, you will see that the economy in Thracia, which is currently at 11,000 denarii per turn, with the taxation turned on high, if I keep it on medium, you'll see that it's around almost the 10,000 mark. However, in the next turn, it will be significantly better than that. That being said, we do have to gather support with Alexander, so we're going to keep doing that. We are now at 54 influence. We need to bump it up even further to get admired. What we also need to do is start sending some of our characters on missions to improve public order, as well as to improve the food generated. And on top of that, what that does is they will keep ranking up, and once these female characters achieve a matriarch rank, they get the -1 empire maintenance, which is really important for us right now, because empire maintenance at the moment is a little bit out of control. We have a -46 empire maintenance. What that means is that our overall economy is reduced by 46%, which is pretty significant. If you take a look at our overall income at 23,000 denarii per turn, 40% of that should be 2,400 times 4, so that's almost 10,000 denarii per turn. So we're actually missing out on that over here. So you can see 10,000 denarii will actually put us in the positive by about 9,000 denarii per turn. So that's just how important it is, especially in this middle game, to keep trying your level best to mitigate your empire maintenance. However, that being said, we do have a dignitary over here that we have to move towards Samosata. We can go ahead and deploy our spy over here. We want to have a little bit of a line of sight of what's going on over here. It seems like the Achaemenids do not have a lot of armies in the region. We are just going to go a little bit in this direction. So there you have it. You can see our momentum advantage starting to play out once we manage to wipe out these armies over here, which is what we're going to try to do. We're going to start our invasion into, of course, Tarsos. But over here, just a quick look to see, okay, these guys can't really reach me, so that is good. Let's go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Meanwhile, over here, we can kind of move Cassandros a little bit ahead. He's going to take a couple of turns to replenish, so what we are going to do is just going to put him on a patrol stance. I'm not too concerned. That should give us a little bit more as far as our replenishment is concerned. And in the next turn, we're going to try to attack our Samosata and then push even towards Samosata. However, for now, let's go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. What I am going to do, a kind reminder, is that I'm actually going to save the game right here, right now. And there you have it, a quick save over there. I'm going to hop into my Old Man's Easy Diplomacy submod, which you can use to immediately vassalize a liberated state, which I do consider not to be cheese, because historically it would make sense. You wouldn't really lose a lot of men and manpower to release a sovereign nation. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Enemy has been wounded, some desertion from Stratos 4 Parmenion because he's in the Aegean Sea. Character has returned home. We have an imminent rebellion possible in Paphlagonia, and what we are going to do is we're going to reinstate Ptolemaeus over here, and we're going to deploy him into the settlement of Trapezos, eventually taking out that Agrispides unit. What we are going to do over here is we're going to march towards our Samosata, go ahead, attack the settlement, quick auto-resolve over there. We can sack the settlement, and we can go ahead and now we can even loot the settlement. That should give us quite a bit of treasury. We're making quite a bit now. We're going to turn off the taxation over here. You can see food is starting to be a little bit of an issue. That is because, of course, we have lost our fishing ports over here. But what that means is our economy is looking quite solid, which also means we can go ahead and reduce the taxation back to medium, and just look at the difference over there. In the previous turn, if you recollect, when we turned our taxation back to medium, we were only making about almost 10,000 denarii per turn in Thracia. Right now, we're making 15,472 denarii, and that will only get more powerful with time, especially once we convert all of these buildings or keep building up all of these buildings, which will take about 9 turns. We should be making quite a decent amount of money. We are going to go ahead and move Stratos 3 Parmenion all the way towards our Samosata, because that's what we need to do. We need to transfer over those Halkaspides units to Cassander, and we are going to move Cassander out of the settlement of Samosata, and we are going to use our Timbe trade region submod to transfer over transfer over the settlement to our vassal. That's right, I have used the submod to vassalize Hague, and we are going to give him the entirety of the province of Armenia. So we are slowly but surely going to try to strengthen him. Meanwhile, over here, these guys haven't really attacked Alexander, so that's great. What we can do is we can actually transfer over our Halkaspires to Alexander, give a regular Halkaspires from Alexander to Hephaestion, and we're going to start to move Alexander towards Amasea, and we're going to go towards our Samosata as well. That being said, we are going to take Stratos 5 Hephaestion and deploy him in Mazaca, and since we're making quite a bit of money, we can go ahead and just upgrade all of our troops. Go ahead and do that for Alexander as well. Is he in Amasea? That he is, so we can actually put him on a patrol stance, not only to help with his replenishment, but also with the public order in the province. Meanwhile, over here, we can also upgrade the troops under Cassandros, and over here, we can upgrade the troops under Perdiccas as well. We can even do that over here for Parmenion. Speaking of Perdiccas, what we can do is we can go ahead and attack Tarsos, and we do have a dignitary over here that I do want to move towards Samosata as quickly as I possibly can. The Bactrianes have not decided to attack me, which is a little bit confusing, but I don't really mind. I'm gonna let them stay over there. They're either going to attack Stratos 3 Perdiccas or Stratos 5 Hephaestion. Whichever way they attack us, we're gonna finish them off in the same exact manner. Right now, what we want to do is we want to begin our invasion of Tarsos. Let's go ahead and attack the settlement. It's a pretty good auto-resolve, but I do not want auto-resolve. Keep in mind, I want that forward momentum, and I want to preserve a lot of my cavalry, which will take a lot of damage if I go ahead and auto-resolve that battle. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fight this battle. Once again, an easy garrison, so there's no point in me showcasing it. So I'm going to fight the battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And there you have it, a very decisive victory. Only one of our units took a significant amount of casualties. Unfortunately, it's our Rhodian Slinger, which does come from the Politides class, so we will not be able to replenish in the end turn, but it's not that crucial. It is a missile unit, so I'm not too concerned. The good thing is that most of our frontline units have actually, not taken that much damage, and I really love this MI's Tiny VFX submod because it actually retains a lot of the blood in, of course, the campaign map. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can sack as well as loot the settlement, because we want to maximize our money, and we are quickly going to turn off the taxation over here. Go ahead and repair all of the buildings, and we can just move our dignitary a little bit closer to where we eventually want him to be. And since we now have a decent line of sight of what's going on over here, I think it's time to actually move our spy a little bit deeper into Kilikia Kaiseria. And we can go ahead and upgrade some characters, so we are going to focus once again on that empire maintenance. Let's go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, Stratos 3 Perdiccas has also leveled up, so we're going to focus on, of course, our replenishment rate. We want to maximize that. We can go ahead and give him some skills. For now, we can get the food, although it's not that important, but it is kind of nice so that we can get a little bit of surplus going on over here. Speaking of surplus, we can promote this building over here, as well as the temple. That will help out a little bit. And eventually, we also want to upgrade the settlement of Mazaca, because it is being attacked quite often. So I want to get a more sizable garrison over there. That being said, the other areas, what we can do is even promote these buildings as well as the temple building over here, so that we can generate a little bit more food, because right now the priority will be food generation. And of course, we are also going to be using our characters over here, like Alexander has already I believe he's already, let's gather support. Okay, so we are a little bit in the positive for support. I believe we have to be more than 60% influence to get admired. So we're going to wait out for that. Meanwhile, our characters over here can go ahead and start engaging in some political actions. We're going to try to improve the public order in Ionia, as well as we're going to try to get some food from Thracia. That should give us a little bit of food surplus, as well as mitigate the public order issues in Ionia. And as you can see, we are looking quite decent for now. We have almost four full stacks, and we're making a surplus of 3,400 denarii per turn, and our taxation has been reduced to medium, so that is great. Let's go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, there you have it. The Bactrianes are attacking us once again. I'm not going to be showcasing this battle. We're going to go hop into the battle, and we are going to try to wipe out as many of these armies and maintain our forward momentum in the turn to come. However, let's quick save over here. I'm going to hop into the battle, not showcase this battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. Alright, and there we have another heroic victory. We lost a little bit more men this time. We killed only 6 times our number, but we managed to wipe out quite a significant portion of the Bactriane stacks. And when we hop into the campaign map, you'll just see the carnage over there. A lot of these armies have been severely depleted, so we have a significant momentum advantage. And now I do believe we still have to ransom off captives, not because of our economy, but because of the public order issues. So we do not want to have any public order issues. However, let's just wait and see what happens in the next turn. Of course, here we are in the next turn. It is the winter of 331 BC. We have managed to sell off our Samosata to our satrapy over here, and of course our champion has also leveled up. So let's just take a quick look at all of the characters who have leveled up. We do have Hephaestion, who has gotten a greater army tradition, so we're going to go ahead, give him those army traditions. And we don't really need to build up Mazaca for now. What we need to do is build a supply pit at the Gordian, and we want to upgrade our temple over here to help with our public order issues, and we can convert this into an amphitheatron to further help with that public order issues. We can even upgrade some temples over here. We're starting to see a lot more money, so that's actually really good for us. That means we can pretty much start building up all of our provinces, which is the ultimate objective. And over here what we want to do is I'm not entirely sure if this army can reach, so we are going to stay within reach of the settlement of our Samosata and move Stratos 7 Ptolemeos to get that Gira Spides unit to transfer him over to Perdiccas, thereby filling out his army. And there we are going to move a little bit closer towards Samosata. Okay, we can just go on an ambush stance over here, kind of in anticipation to attacking the settlement in the next turn. And of course our population class over here is a little bit low, so we're not able to completely replenish, but we have replenished quite a fair bit, which I'm pretty happy with. We're going to keep moving our dignitary down towards Samosata. Meanwhile, our dignitary over here can go ahead and deploy in Tarsos. Things are looking good over here. We can go ahead and convert these buildings. We are going to focus on converting them into a military recruitment province, Kilikia Kaiseria. And of course, if we take a look at our culture over here, we have 11 Hellenic culture versus 89 Persian culture. And if you remember from earlier on in the episode, it was at 94 Persian culture, and that's just the importance of sending your dignitaries a little bit in an advanced position, so that of course you can get a line of sight of what's going on. And of course, let's go ahead and sabotage this settlement. Okay, so that you can culturally convert the province a little bit ahead of your invasion. And of course the influence over here is not that significant, but once we conquer more settlements, we will have quite a significant amount of influence. We do have Stratos 4 over here under Parmenion that we have to keep moving towards the east, towards our Samosata, to transfer over a couple of those Halkaspides units over to Cassandros. However, with that, we're looking quite good for this turn. Our loyalty is a little bit lacking over here, so we have to be a little bit careful of that. We can go ahead and promote some characters to help with the loyalty. And also what we need to do is we can actually even secure loyalty over there, just to keep their loyalty a little bit high. Meanwhile, Alexander is going to continue to gather support, increase our influence. We need another 2 turns to get a little bit better on our influence. Quick look at our characters over here. We have Thessaloniki. We can go ahead and improve the public order in Macedonia Kai Epiros, or we can actually do it in Paphlagonia as well. I think I will actually go ahead and do it in Paphlagonia. And there you have it. And we can also get some food from Paphlagonia. So let's go ahead and do that. That should give us a decent amount of food surplus, as well as, of course, improve the public order over here quite significantly. However, with that, we are ready to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn when we are ready to attack Samosata. We might even try to push towards Antioquia if we can possibly do so. But for now, I think the main thing is, you know, we just try to wipe out all of these armies over here so that we can continue to keep pushing into the Achaemenid territory. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Robbery attempt, return from mission. And we got a pretty good event, the Mystery of Eleusis, that basically gives +4 Hellenic cultural influence in all regions and +4 public order per turn in all regions. That's going to be really helpful in helping our public order kind of rise, which is what we need. But the most important thing over here is to go ahead, attack with Alexander into Samosata. We can just go ahead and attack the settlement, but we have to fight that battle out. Meanwhile, the army over here under Perdiccas, we will need that extra Argyrespides unit. So let's go ahead and take that unit, and we're going to keep marching all the way towards Mazaca. Meanwhile, over here, we can kind of attack these armies over here. That's what I'm kind of inclined to do. So let's go ahead. It's going to be a pretty bad auto-resolve. So hopefully we don't lose any units. Let's just quick save over here. We're going to auto-resolve that one. Okay, we didn't lose any units, which is kind of good. But we will have taken quite a bit of casualties. We're going to go ahead, liberate all the captives. And we are definitely going to keep pushing our advantage over here. Trying to wipe out all of these armies over here. Hopefully we do not lose any units further. And we did not, which is actually great. Once again, liberate all the captives. There you have it. We have a significant advantage over here. We're going to move back towards Mazaca a little bit. And then with this army, we're going to go ahead, attack this army over here, break them off. Go ahead, liberate once again. And we can actually even attack Antioquia. So that is definitely a good thing. So let's go ahead and attack Antioquia. And the auto-resolve doesn't look too good, but we can go ahead, just simply auto-resolve that one. We can, I guess we want to loot the settlement. And we want to deploy ourselves into the port over here so that we can replenish in the end turn. After that, we can see what we can get over here. We can get the Eastern veterans, giving us that defense. Recruitment cost is not that important. We need a replenishment. Not entirely sure if we have that. Okay, we can get the damage, which is pretty helpful. The upkeep is also quite helpful. So, yep, I'm pretty happy with that. We can go ahead and repair some of the buildings. We can dismantle this building. We don't really need it. Repair those buildings, and actually we want to dismantle this building as well. So we're going to repair these buildings over here so that we can convert it into a barracks for ourselves, of course. And there you have it. We have conquered quite a lot of Syria, and we will be able to push our advantage even further in the turns to come. However, before we go ahead and do that, very quickly, okay, so our Armenian vassal might be able to take Armavir, which is kind of what we want. Our Samosata, what's your Garrison looking like? Coron, also you're looking pretty weak. So we are going to actually move all the way down south towards Antioquia to transfer over that Argyrespides. Meanwhile, over here, I think the play would be to move our armies a little bit closer towards Tushpa, go into an ambush stance. Hopefully this army will sally out. We will be able to attack and wipe out the Armenians by pushing into Tushpa, of course. We have our spy over here. We're going to keep moving him deeper into Achaemenid territory, start spying in the region, of course, and we can move this other spy down south over here, get a line of sight of what's happening in the Levant. And things are looking quite good with that. Meanwhile, Alexander, I'm not sure. Alright, we haven't really engaged him in any actions this turn. So let's go ahead and gather support to improve our influence a little bit more. 59 influence, we're very close to getting admired. Meanwhile, Thessaloniki can go ahead and improve the public order, this time in Kilikia, Kaiseria. We want to improve the public order as much as we possibly can. And of course, the other character can focus on food, and that should also give us some empire maintenance bonuses, which is really, really good for us. However, that being said, let's go ahead, attack with Alexander over here. I'm going to quick save over here. I'm going to hop into the battle. I'm going to showcase this battle because, of course, we haven't really fought that many battles in this episode, except, of course, that massive first battle. So I will see you all in this battle, and we are going to crush the garrison of Samosata and conquer the settlement for ourselves. Alright, welcome to the Battle of Samosata, our first open field battle in a very long time, and as you can see, we have gone ahead and deployed our armies in that typical echelon formation, which I like to see, and really love this reshade, if I have to be honest. The only difference is we're using all of our Agrarians on one flank, our Agrarian Peltaste as well as our Agrarian sellswords. We have our cavalry on either flank, of course, the cavalry on the prestigious right flank led by Alexander himself. We're marching towards the enemy. Since the right hand side of the echelon formation is slightly advanced in comparison to the left hand side, which is slightly refused, we have gone ahead and put our Rhodian slingers on the left hand side of the skirmisher line and our Cretan archers on the right hand side, so that the Cretan archers are going to be at a little bit advanced position with respect to the slingers, and that is to account for their range difference. So the Cretan archers have a much shorter range than your slingers, so it's always better to keep them slightly advanced so that they can reach the enemy. However, with that, let's just go ahead quick forward. As you can see, this battle is really short, so I'm just going to forward it a little bit, get into position as quickly as possible, and once we do that, the enemy will engage our units over here. So there you have it, we're in range. The enemy is going to begin engaging very quickly, form up our front lines. We start to move our units. Now we are moving in slow, but we should move in double time as quickly as possible. And there you have it. We're moving in double time as quickly as possible. Now just notice the positioning over here. I'm positioning my hoplite unit at the leftmost unit of the enemy front line. Of course, there is a single unit over here that can potentially encircle me, so we have to be really careful of that. Meanwhile, on the left hand side flank of ours, we see a couple of these units that are stretched out. So what we are going to try to do is refuse our cavalry. Over here, we increase the width, holding down the control and up arrow key, and we enable the pike phalanx formation, and there you have it. They're going to be dropping their pikes down, and we have a perfect wall of pikemen over here to counter the enemy. And the beautiful thing over here is the enemy cavalry is going to charge, and another beauty over here is that, of course, our Agrarian Peltaste are going to be able to do quite a lot of damage against this enemy cavalry. There you have it, just absolutely getting completely devastated. I feel sorry for that horse. It took like about 10 to 20 javelins. So yep, really good over there. We're just completely ignoring this unit because it's kind of overextended, and instead we are using our cavalry to move around, and we are going to try to charge into the enemy's missile units. Alexander, however, on that side of the battlefield is going to try to mop up these units that tried to outflank me, and we're going to have a pretty massive charge over here with Alexander quickly breaking this unit. And as soon as that happens, we're going to move Alexander a little bit out, charge into this unit. I notice it's wavering, so we just want to inflict a little bit more of morale penalty so that it breaks. And with that, we've managed to wipe out, secure our front line properly. And now we're going into a narrow formation with our Agrarian sellswords, just running around so that we have a better capability of flanking the enemy. So that is exactly what we're trying to do over here. These units that are kind of overextended, we've completely ignored them. Instead, we have gone for the weaker missile units. This is one of the beautiful strategies that you have to employ in order to, of course, win the battle as quickly as possible, because the minute you have your numerical superiority, it is very easy to break the rest of the enemy army. And there you have it, the numerical superiority. Before we even finish the battle, you can see that, of course, we are charging in with Alexander for that final blow. And yeah, with that, we have won extremely clinically over here, and I will see you all back in the campaign. And there you have it, a super decisive victory. We took only 6 losses and we managed to wipe out the garrison. Very easy battle indeed. And we are going to go ahead and sack as well as loot the settlement for that maximum income, of course. This is one of the ways where you can increase your slave population. So let's just go ahead, sack that settlement and we can loot it. And there we have it. Alexander has managed to conquer Samosata. We're going to focus on our next ability, and we're going to go for the companions as well as, the cavalry is really good. But I think the spear armed is also really good. So here we have 6, 9 attack, but it also gives defense, so definitely want this one. Maximize our attack as well as our defense with our spear units, and that's going to be absolutely critical and amazing. With that, we are pretty much done with this turn, so we can go ahead and end the turn. But before we do that, we definitely want to dismantle some of the buildings and repair some of the other buildings as well. And with that, I'm pretty happy. We can go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. We're going to keep moving Stratus 4 Parmenion, meanwhile, towards, of course, Stratus 2 Cassandros to transfer over those 2 Halkaspedes units. Meanwhile, our dignitary can also move down south towards Samosata and just go ahead and deploy over there. Right now, we should have a very sizable influence of Hellenic at 34, countering, of course, the Persian at 10. So that is really good. We're just about quite a while off from actually researching legal institutions, but once we do that, we're going to focus on the Hippocratic Oath for that extra research rate, as well as, of course, that +6 cultural conversion, 2 of which comes from natural philosophy, the other comes from the Hippocratic Oath. However, with that, let's go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Our treasury, our food, our income is looking amazing. We're still in the winter of 331 BC. Alexander is still just 23 years of age. We can go ahead and gather support with him. That should bump us up to that admired, so we will have a pretty good public order for now. Meanwhile, let's just quickly move Stratus 2 Parmenion or Stratus 4 Parmenion towards, of course, Cassander, and we're going to move Ptolemaeus towards Antiochia. This guy over here should have replenished and will be able to continue to replenish going ahead. What we want to do is start to move Alexander. He is kind of fully replenished, so we're going to move him all the way down south towards Tapsos. We want to conquer the settlement, focus on Tapsos, then perhaps Dura, and then Palmyra, and that's pretty much what we are going to be leaving the episode with. Meanwhile, over here we do have the other army that hasn't been able to replenish, and I'm not entirely comfortable with replenishing or attacking this army before I replenish, otherwise I could lose a couple of units. Let's take a quick look to see the population class over here. We have a decent population class, so let's just stay in the settlement, of course, trying to replenish our population. Meanwhile, this army over here has not yet attacked, but our subject has conquered Armavir, which is great, which means that the Persian satrap of Armenia is actually pretty weak. The color is almost identical, but if we go into this map mode, you can kind of see our own satrapy has expanded quite a fair bit. Meanwhile, their satrap is busy trying to recruit, so yeah, things are looking quite good as far as that is concerned. Let's take a quick look at all of our buildings. Okay, buildings seem to be fine. Yes, we definitely want to repair these buildings, but I guess we can go ahead and dismantle it. Quick look to see our garrison. Yep, it's pretty weak, so let's go ahead and dismantle it. Over here, we can build a military port since we're not really taxing the province. So let's go ahead and do that. Build a sanitation building. We can convert this into a recruitment building. Over here we can get the architectural advances we need to kind of level up over there, and over here we're going to build a temple to help with that cultural conversion, of course. And I think that's pretty good for now, or I might actually just go ahead and build a barracks over there because that makes a bit more sense, since I'm not entirely sure if I can level up Samosata, and we'll need it to be quite built up with a garrison, and that is because, of course, it can be attacked from multiple directions. Of course, we have managed to secure our Samosata, so we have minimized the routes the enemy could possibly take towards Samosata, but they can still push up from Edessa. They can still push across this bridge and go up this way towards Samosata. So Samosata is a little bit of a weak point, as will be Thapsos, Antioquia, Dura, Palmyra. These are really hard regions to take control of. But we'll need to take control of those regions so that we have a little bit of a buffer protecting our westernmost invasion into Judea. As long as you have this buffer over here, then, you know, even if the enemy manages to move into a more dangerous position, they will not, you know, threaten to cut your supply lines. So that's very important to have a little bit of a buffer over here. As far as strategically concerning, they are not really that strategic because they are wide in the open. They can pretty much be attacked from any possible direction. So, yep, it's not a very strategic place. I mean, Dura is a little bit strategic, but not so much because, once again, Dura with its zone of control prevents this river crossing, but it can be attacked from the river crossing further up to the north. And, of course, there are a couple of river crossings further down to the south. So, yes, once again, not a very strategic province. Palmyra, all of this is basically going to be a buffer zone. However, with that, we can go ahead and end the turn, but before we do that, we have to level up some characters. So let's go ahead and level up our spy. We have another spy over here in the region. Might as well move him all the way towards Jerusalem, get a line of sight of what's happening over there. Perfect. And a quick look at our Imperium level. We're still at Imperium level 4. We are just about halfway there to getting Imperium level 5. Our party loyalties seem to be quite high, and we can go ahead and promote this character, which is what we want to focus on. We want to prioritize promoting all of our governor generals if we possibly can, because that will really help us maximize our revenue. However, over here we can get the ambitious magistrate, which improves the taxation a fair bit. And let's see, our other governor generals looking pretty good. We have this guy over here is also looking pretty good. Arideus also looking quite good. So I'm pretty happy with our governor generals and their abilities, to be honest. So we can focus a little bit on our other characters as well. Pretty happy with that, I think, for now. Let's go ahead, end the turn. There's nothing much else left to do in this turn. I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. It is finally spring, which means we have a lot more movement range. Our characters have leveled up, so let's actually give them some abilities. We are going to be focusing our level best on the Empire maintenance. We're trying to bring it down. Of course, as we expand explosively over here, it is going to be a lot harder to keep our Empire maintenance at a respectable level. Let's go ahead, upgrade all of these settlements if we can. And we can actually, one of the major problems over here is, of course, the Armenians, our subjects, have abandoned the settlement of Armavir, and of course these guys are moving towards reconquering that settlement. So I'm going to set them as a strategic interest, and then I'm going to go ahead and attack the settlement of Tushpa. We can auto-resolve this one. We don't need to fight this battle, and we are going to go ahead, loot the settlement and sack it so that we get even more income from the settlement. We're going to pop out of the settlement right now, and then we are going to transfer this over to our subject. And it kind of lacks funds to do that, so we are going to pay it a little bit. And this is actually worth it in my opinion, because of course one way is that we can actually improve our relationship with our subject, and the other thing is that they're actually going to return this money to us when they procure the settlement. So they still lack money, so we need to do that just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and keep doing that. Okay, so I believe we have transferred to them 12,000 denarii. That should be 15,000, so we'll check right now if they can procure the settlement. They still lack the funds to do so, so we're going to do it a couple more times. Let's go for it. And a little bit more, so that should kind of push them into 21,000, and I'm hoping they have the rest to pay. And there we have it. We're going to get 24,000 denarii for selling off the province of Tushpa to them. What we can do is also turn off the taxation so that we do not consume food, and we're just going to wait over here. And this guy over here should be depleting. He is the Shah, which means if we manage to assassinate him, we can wipe out the faction. Unfortunately, we can't really do that. For now, what we have to do over here is just wipe out this army. That is really important. Let's go ahead and wipe it out. And we can liberate the captives once again. And we're going to push our army into Samosata to kind of protect that settlement. There you have it. Let's take a quick look at all of our provinces. Make sure that we are building them up as best as we can. Athens seems to be fine. Alright, we can promote that temple over there. That will help with the public order a fair bit. And I'm pretty happy with my buildings for now. As you can see, our economy is looking even better. We're going to keep gathering support with Alexander. Our next objective is to become beloved, of course. What that means is that once we hit Imperium level 5, we even will be able to convert ourselves into an empire, which is very, very important. Meanwhile, our dignitary down south over here can move towards the border of Antiochia, get a little bit closer, start deploying over there. And we even have Ptolemaios up here in the north, which we should move down south and try to transfer over that Agiraspides unit to Perdiccas. Alexander can go ahead and attack Thapsos. It's a pretty good auto-resolve, but I'm not interested in auto-resolving it. I'm going to quick save over here, hop into the battle, fight the battle, and once the battle is done, I will resume the campaign because this is going to be a pretty easy battle, guys. And another super decisive victory. Very easy battle against Garrison. We lost only 10 units and we managed to get quite a lot of kills. We are farming experience, farming these units so that our cavalry, especially all of our units as much as we possibly can gain the maximum level of experience. We are going to go ahead and loot as well as sack the settlement once again. This might actually deplete our public order by a significant amount, but we don't really care. Let's just go ahead and loot and sack so that we get a lot more of our slave economy up and running. And there you have it. You can see our slaves are at 84%. They're actually counteracting the empire maintenance for now, which is really, really important. Let's quickly go ahead, repair the buildings we need, dismantle the buildings we do not require. And over here, what we are going to do is we're going to try to move our spy a little bit over here. We will not be able to catch that Armenian army just yet. Hopefully they will not attack Armavir. Armavir doesn't have a lot of garrison, so that is rather unfortunate that they might be able to actually conquer the settlement before we can even respond to it. However, for now, we are pretty much done with this turn. Alexander himself has leveled up, can go ahead and take some of this ability. So he's almost a level 10 general already. And of course, conquering Dura is going to be a little bit difficult because they do have an army over there. Palmyra, meanwhile, is the other settlement we are interested in. But for now, we're just going to go ahead, end the turn, and I'll see you all in the next turn. Quick look at our economy. As you can see, Thrace is doing quite nice. Paphlagonia Kai Pontus is a little bit on the low side. What we definitely need to do is perhaps we can marry off a character over here, and then we can start sending them to improve the public order in certain provinces. We're going to focus on Ionia for now because it is on a steep decline. And then what we can do is we can also kind of send Olympias, the mother of Alexander, to kind of improve. How's our food looking like? It's pretty decent, but we can just improve some other public order as well. Let's go ahead and do that in Paphlagonia Kai Pontus. We want to maximize our public order as much as we can throughout all of our provinces. Let's go ahead now and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Character has returned from a mission. We have managed to sell one of our provinces. And this is a little bit concerning because, of course, we have an Achaemenid stack that's moving towards Armavir, so we got to be a little bit careful. Let us actually, I don't know if I can actually ask him to defend the settlement. That's a little bit unfortunate, but we can instead ask him to focus on that army over there, and perhaps that will force him to defend that settlement. We're going to transfer over all of our remaining troops to, of course, Cassander. Yep, and we can go ahead and disband Parmenion, And we're going to re-recruit him over here in Pella and start building up our next army, because we have enough money. And as you can see, our economy is starting to look even better right now. We're making 7,300 denarii per turn, so that is absolutely amazing. We're going to move over here, get a quick look at Edessa. Of course, they do have an army over here. They have several armies, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. What we are going to do is just transfer off this unit of Agiraspides to Perdiccas, and that should be quite good. Meanwhile, we can dismantle this settlement. Go ahead, build another outpost over there to maximize, and we can disband Ptolemaeus as well, so we can get him up in the next turn in, of course, Pella, and start recruiting some more armies, of course. Another thing we'll need to do, of course, since we are getting some armies, is get a couple of these Agrarian axemen in preparation, of course, for those new armies that are coming out. Meanwhile, this army over here can move towards Samosata, perhaps even replenish a little bit in this end turn. We're hoping for these Achaemenid armies to move in a way that will put them at a disadvantage against us. What I am going to do over here is just go ahead and put Alexander in an ambush stance. We don't have forests, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but there we go. We're going to put him in an ambush stance in the hopes that, of course, they will come and attack us over there. Quick look over here. I think we can get the skirmisher ability, which is what I think we have with Alexander. Yep. So we're going to focus on that skirmisher ability, but before we do that, we're going to check if we can get anything else. Maybe a couple of the skirmisher, a couple of speed as well. And there we have it. Cassander is leveled up as well. Let's take a quick look at all of our characters, see if we can level up any of our governor generals. That is, of course, going to be the priority. And we can't really do that, but we can upgrade Cassander. So let's do that, because that will help with the loyalty of the party. Meanwhile, Olympia can go on a mission to improve the public order. We can do that in Macedonia or Syria. I think Syria is the better bet, because we can quickly get that positive public order, which will help us with the Vox Populi submod to culturally convert the province of Kilikia, Syria. As you can see, we are now 21% Hellenic culture. We're gaining a quite considerable amount. We have 41 influence over here versus the 11 Persian influence, which will reduce further once we manage to convert all of these buildings, of course. Apart from that, we want Alexander to continue his gathering of support so that we slowly inch towards our beloved influence. However, with that, we can quick save over here and go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Character has returned from mission. We have completed a research, which is great. Our economy is starting to blossom really well over here. Unfortunately, this army has been attacked, and they will continue to be attacked over here, but we are hoping that we can help him out. We're gonna try to do, of course, is we're just gonna stick there with Cassander. Meanwhile, this army could potentially attack us. What we are trying to do over here is just go ahead and sabotage this army. If we're successful, which we aren't, and pretty much lost our spy over there. If we were successful, we could abandon Antiochia. We're almost completely replenished, and that would actually be a good moment for us to actually move out and besiege Salamis, which is what we want to do. However, for now, let's reinstate some of our legacies. We're going to reinstate Parmenion over here in Pella. Go ahead, get that, and we're going to get a couple of our Agrarian axemen over there. Apart from that, we also want to get Ptolemy, so let's get Ptolemy as well. Deploy him in Athens, and in Athens what he's going to focus on is, of course, getting a lot of these mercenaries that we need for our army. And what we also need to do is start recruiting up some 4 of these guys, and we want to recruit some Halkaspides as well, 6 of them. Get another 6. Perfect. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we can even get a unit of Thessalian cavalry. So yep, we are not really focusing on the perfection of our army composition over here. That is because, of course, we are going to be focusing on recruiting as many of the units as we possibly can, and we're going to keep moving around Ptolemaios. By doing that, we can actually deploy him in the port so that he gets a bit more movement range. Go ahead all the way up to Philippopolis, take over those 2 Agrarian axemen, and then come back towards Pella, start recruiting up those armies. And once we have both of the armies, we can go ahead, cross the Aegean once again. It's a lot faster to do it that way, and then we can push towards Assyria. Let's go ahead and end the turn and get a line of sight. Actually, we can pull our spy over here. I think that's more important. Get our spy all the way out here so that we can see what's happening at Dura. Once again, with Alexander, we have to gather support, and unfortunately our political loyalties are a little bit in the negative, but we don't really care for that. Olympias is not really leveling up, so can go ahead and boost the public order in Macedonia, which is important. Of course, you can see our public order has started to improve quite a bit over here, which means we are getting even more empire maintenance and growth per turn and cultural conversion, which is really, really nice. With that, not much else left to do in this turn. We're going to check very quickly if they have some population class. Unfortunately, they do not. So what we are going to do is just, we're going to stay a little bit on this side of the settlement and go into a fortified stance. Hopefully the Achaemenids will try to attack this army, and if they are successful, they might in fact dish out a little bit of punishment against this army, after which we should have a pretty easy time dealing with them ourselves. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We have a food shortage issue, and we haven't really been able to replenish, but we can kind of move very close to this and protect the settlement of Armavir from the Achaemenids, of course. And they might actually attack us, but I'm not too concerned about that. We are in a pretty good position to defend over here. So yeah, and we will have the garrison that will come out to support us, and that's in Armavir. The garrison's looking pretty decent. We're going to let the garrison do most of the fighting, should they decide to attack us, of course. Meanwhile, Tushpa has been protected by this Haik army, which is also really good for us. Quick look to see some of the provinces over here. We want to gain a line of sight of what's happening up here in the north. It is summer, so we are taking a little bit of attrition over here, unfortunately. Let's actually move our dignitary a little bit closer. We can't get a line of sight of what's happening over there. I think it could be a little bit sketchy over here. We have a decent garrison to hold out, but we definitely are not entirely sure if that will affect us. This being summer means we will continue to keep taking attrition, so I think the right thing to do is to just move Hephaestion out of the settlement, go into Amasea. You can replenish a bit. Hopefully the Achaemenids will not be able to attack me over here, and Alexander himself is going to be taking a little bit of attrition as well, so we have to be a little bit careful. I have no line of sight over here in this area, so that's a bit unfortunate. What I could do is perhaps attack Dura, which I think is possibly a good thing to do. Let's go ahead and attack Dura. Yes, the settlement is not being protected, which means we can go ahead and easily conquer the settlement. And with Perdiccas, we're going to move all the way towards Salamis, go into the Phoenician Sea and go ahead, attack Salamis. Once again, I don't really care. I'm just going to simply auto-resolve this one. We are going to sack the settlement, and we are going to loot the settlement as well. Get a little bit more money. Go ahead, deploy him into the port so that he can replenish. And we're going to turn off the taxation over here so that our food is not consumed that much. Dismantle the buildings we do not need, and focus on all of the other buildings that we require. Apart from that, we do have Stratos 7 Ptolemaios that can move in a further advanced position, but very quickly we're going to see if we can get a Grecian archer. We can, so we're going to get that. We're going to keep moving him towards, of course, Philippopolis to get those couple of Agrarian axemen. Alright, with that I'm pretty happy. We can also upgrade a character over here. Let's go for the ramming bonus, the upkeep, as well as the replenishment. I think that's really important. We're going to focus on movement range if we possibly can. We don't really have that. Meanwhile, one of our household traits have gotten the industry as well as commerce, so let's just quickly check all of our governor generals to make sure that we can give them all of the benefits that they possibly can. That's pretty good. Quickly look at the fleet. It is being led by Aristonus. So where are you? I think there you are. So do we have the campaign range movement? Perfect, we do have that, which means we will eventually move towards Athens, and from Athens we can see if we can get some really good ships that will really help our case in the future. But for now, let's just go ahead, start moving him towards Athens. We get a little bit more food from getting him out of that settlement, and we're gonna start recruiting up some Penteres, which I think we can just... It's going to take about 8 turns, so I'm going to keep it at 7 because of course we are going to be losing our supplies in 8 turns. So within 7 turns we should be able to get that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cancel it completely. Just recruit 2 of them and then deploy them in Athens, which will help with the public order, of course. And then we can go ahead and start recruiting up some more. Meanwhile, we can also take a quick look at our provinces, make sure that we are building up as much as we possibly can. There we have it. We want to improve the public order over there, improve the food situation as well. We can go ahead and start building up farms over here because the public order seems to be quite fine. And I'm pretty happy with the way things are going for now. So let's go ahead and end the turn, and before we do that we will have to attack the settlement of Dura with Alexander. Quick save over here. I'm going to hop into the battle. I'm not going to be showcasing this because we are running out of time for this episode, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And once again, another decisive victory, easy battle over here. Managed to conquer the settlement of Dura, taking only 23 losses. We are going to go ahead, loot and sack the settlement. We want to maximize our slave income as much as possible and also build up quite a sizable treasury. We spent a lot of our money that we had in our treasury to build up our provinces. So let's go ahead, sack the settlement, and we are going to go ahead and loot it this time. There we have it. We are now in firm control of Dura. We can go ahead and turn off the taxation over here. What we want to do is just start to repair some of these buildings, and can dismantle some of the other buildings. Quick check to see if I can actually upgrade these building over here, and I can't, so it's might as well just dismantle it and then build it up from the ground up. However, with that, we are ready to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, here's the end turn, and of course we have the Hake that's attacking the Achaemenid armies. What we are going to do is we could auto-resolve this one. I'm not entirely sure if I want to. I could take some pretty significant losses, but you know what, let's actually support them with an auto-resolve. Hopefully we do not take any losses. And yep, we haven't taken any losses. We lost quite a bit of cavalry, but I'm not too concerned. We can go ahead and start actually enslaving captives because that's going to help with our slave economy, of course. There's no real pressure on that. Meanwhile, we have a couple of armies attacking Alexander. This is really, really good. We can go ahead and save and then wipe out these armies. That should put us in a very favorable position. I'm not going to be showcasing this battle because we don't have much time for this episode. I'm pretty much just going to fight it, try to defeat the Achaemenids as much as I possibly can, and I will see you all once the battle is done. And there we have it, a very decisive victory. We killed almost 10 times our number. We didn't really pursue the battle. We could have done so. We could have wiped them out a little bit more, but I'm not too interested. I just really wanted to finish that battle as quickly as possible. And we have managed to push the Achaemenids a little bit behind. Unfortunately, we could have given chase to some of their units, significantly weakened some of their other armies. But once again, not too concerned about that. We are going to go ahead and slave up all the captives, keep pushing them out of our area of influence, and there you have it. You can see another Achaemenid army in the region, so we have to be a little bit careful now how we expand. We really need those other 2 extra armies to support Alexander in his conquest of the rest of the Levant, because we are a little bit spread too thin for the moment. So the good thing is that, of course, all of the Persian satraps like the Bactriane and, of course, the Aracosians have to re-recruit all of their armies, and they will take a little bit of time to march all the way from the east towards where we are at right now. Meanwhile, we have an honorable death, Alexandros Molossus. He is the faction leader of the... okay, we completed a mission. He's the faction leader of course, the Epirates, so... he is under siege. The Epirates, they might not last that long, and we might actually try to help them out over here, but that remains to be seen. However, for now, what we are going to do is move Stratos S7 Ptolemaeus all the way towards Philippopolis, transfer over this couple of Agrianian axemen, and we can put him on a patrol stance just to help a little bit with that replenishment rate. The next thing we need to do is actually move our fleet over there and start recruiting up as many ships as we possibly can. There we have it. Perfect. Once again, we have a spy over here in the region that we can go ahead and start getting a line of sight of what's happening over here. Unfortunately, the sabotage has failed. We're going to move towards Hatra. You can see that they have quite a lot of armies in the area ready to attack us, so that is a little bit unfortunate. Let's take a quick look at our provinces. We want to dismantle that building. Go ahead, build a lot of garrison type buildings over there, so that, of course, Dura is able to hold out on its own. We can go ahead, build that over there. We want to build... I'm guessing we can focus on the research rate. That's really good, so let's actually go ahead and get that. Perfect. I'm pretty happy with that. Our economy is starting to increase quite significantly. Meanwhile, we have also improved our army traditions over here, so we're going to go ahead, take some of those army traditions and yep, maximize it over there. Our dignitary has also leveled up, so we can go ahead, get that research rate is very important. We can focus on the food as well as that cultural conversion. Get some food. Okay, perfect. Quite happy with that. And we're going to start moving this dignitary down south to help with the cultural conversion of Dura as well. Meanwhile, it's still summer, so that means we cannot really move Hephaestion just yet down south, but we will eventually want to do that so that we can start expanding a little bit down south over here. The Armenian satrapy of ours is looking really decent, so I think the main thing is to go around, just try to attack it from here. They should retreat a little bit, allowing our Armenian satrap to attack them in the end turn, of course. That is what we want. We're going to take a quick look at the population over here. Is really good. So yeah, I'm just going to stay as close as possible and support him if he decides to go ahead and attack that army. Yeah, perfect. Apart from that, it seems like there's nothing much else left to do in this turn. Quick look to check Tapsicos. Tapsicos does have a pretty weak garrison, and these units can potentially reach there, and that's why I said it's not very strategically advantageous for us. But we are going to try our best and see how well we can hold out over there. Wonderful. Okay, our next thing, we also want to engage in our politics as much as possible. Check to see if we can promote any of our characters. We can promote this guy, so let's go ahead and do that. Apart from that, Cleopatra is now a widow because, of course, her husband has died. We can start to use her to improve some of the public orders that we have in certain provinces, and that's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, Alexander can go ahead and rally some support, so we're slowly but surely increasing our influence to a beloved status, which is really good for us. However, with that, I think we are done with this turn, and in fact, I think we are done with this episode. We have really managed to reverse our fortunes in this war. As you can see, we managed to conquer quite a decent chunk of the Achaemenid lands. In fact, I could go so far as to move all the way towards Tyros, but I'm going to wait a couple of turns for this unit to replenish, and then I'm going to go ahead and start invading the western portion of the Levant. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to attack Tyros, we're going to attack Palmyra, and then we're going to replace the armies. Stratos 3 Perdiccas is going to take up the defensive role of Dura and Thapsacos. Meanwhile, Alexander will be free to march down south towards Jerusalem and then continue his invasion into Egyptos. As far as the age of Alexander is concerned, he's 24, so we're still running out of time. We have to be really quick with our conquest. I did mention that I want to be somewhere about Egyptos at the age of 25, so we don't have that many turns for that to happen. We have about close to about 12 turns, so in about 12 turns we should be able to invade Egyptos, and we will have a fleet by then, so they will be able to assist us a lot in our invasion of Egyptos. Historically speaking, Egyptos actually just flipped sides and went to Alexander without a single drop of blood. However, we're not going to be able to achieve that in this campaign because that's not a scripted event. It should be, in my honest opinion, because it kind of is historical, but I guess it is what it is, so we're going to have to just focus on how we deal with that. However, with that, I'm done with this episode. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you liked the video, then like the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.